Have you checked out the phone enough? Yeah? Bandit? No, not quite. This is Bandit. And he would like to say hi. Well, not really, but he does like annoying me when I'm trying to film. Anyway. Hello, BookTube. Zina from Beating Around the Books. I am here to do a reading wrap-up, something I haven't done in a while. So, excuse me, I'm a bit rusty. And yeah, any shakiness is down to the cats. Anyway, so I thought I'll do a wrap-up of September, which was Shorty September, and I mainly read short books, although there were a few other ones. I think I read a total of 8 books, 6 of which were shorties. So let's just start with those, shall we? Was it 8? I'm not sure anymore. I was just about to stare at my computer, then realized, oh no, you've put it away. Anyway, okay, so these ones are going to be really quick because I've already talked about them in the last reading blog. So the first one that I read was Claudia Piñeiro's All Yours, a crime novel. I liked it well enough. It was not as good as Elena Knows. I think it was 4 stars. There we go. That's it. The next one was Bear by Marian Engel. Heard plenty about this by several booktubers whose names I now cannot recall. I do know Kieran read it from Katie Books. Anyway, bear sex on remote Canadian island. 4 stars. Very good nature descriptions, especially sounds. Okay. And the third one, which I will also not mention very much or not talk a lot about, was Jorge Luis Borges Fictions short story collection, actually 2 collections in 1 book, translated by Andrew Hurley. I have uploaded a rather long discussion video with Mark Nash, whom my buddy read this with. And it is only the first part of it because I haven't edited the second part yet. That will also come hopefully within the next week or so. But yeah, so if you're interested in more in-depth talk about this, then go there, right? But yes, definitely classic short stories that are worth your time, in my opinion. Especially if you're into, I guess, sort of unconventional stuff. Stories that are more about ideas than about plot. Thoughts about infinity, the perception of reality, intertextual relationships, and so on and so forth. Let's leave it at that. I think I gave it 5 stars. I was between 4 and 5, but I decided 5 because that otherwise would have been very ungenerous. Okay, then I read, wait, I didn't tell you about, so these 2, wait, I read them for Shorty September, right? So this was for the prompt, I think it was denim shorts, as in something that was it denim shorts? Yeah, 70s or 80s. And then this one was Bermuda shorts, translated fiction. Jorge Luis Borges could have also been Bermuda shorts, but I think I used it for modern classic, which is that the mod? Oh, that is the denim shorts. The other one, 70s, 80s was shorty shorts, I think. On 2 books that I have not talked about at length yet. We have John Hawke's Travesty. I mentioned this briefly in my vlog, but I hadn't yet decided whether I would take it with me or not. I did take it with me and I did read it, if only to finish the bloody thing, and because I had that weird fascination with it, even though it was, no pun intended, like a car accident, you know, where you're kind of like, I keep continuing to watch, but I'm not sure why I'm doing it because it's uncomfortable. So yes, This is all written as a monologue by a guy who is driving in his sports car very, very fast in the middle of the night with his daughter, who is, I think, a young adult, I would say, and his friend. And he has basically taken them hostage by driving way too fast and telling them that he's decided he's gonna crash the car. And he's planned out the route and everything. And yeah, so he's talking about that, about the friend who apparently had an affair with the wife of the guy who's driving, although he already knew that. Apparently it's nothing new to him. And then also decided to start a relationship of whatever kind with the daughter, which I found a lot more troublesome, I guess. The narrator, as you can maybe imagine, is obnoxious. Some of the writing's good, I guess. But fuck me, I finished it and I was like, what the hell did I just read? And what on earth should I think about this? So, would I recommend this? No, not necessarily. Did I hate it? No, I didn't either. But it was also not a meh experience. It was more like, what the hell? You know? But yeah, what I did hate was the blurb, because the blurb says something about comic terror and extreme vision of eroticism. I'm sorry. I mean, I know that there were some descriptions of theoretically, potentially erotic scenes, but they were, at least to my memory, too bloody, well, I don't know, appalling, off-putting or whatever. And not because I'm a prude, but because it was always in an abusive sort of situation. Let's put it that way. Which to me makes it non-erotic, if that makes sense. Because it was not consensual, you know, it's not like BDSM and you've got consent there or whatever. So, not a fan. And also, yeah, comic terror. There's absolutely nothing funny in here. I couldn't detect any. Maybe I have no sense of humor, but yeah, no, not fun. Anyway, that's it. So this was, I guess, the worst of the reads that I've had this month, I would say. Although there was one that I DNF'd, but that was not a shorty. What I DNF'd was Call Me Zebra by, can't remember, we'll put in the thing, the name. And while it was very interesting in its premise, it was also unbearable. The narrator was unbearable. And it was so ridiculous. Even though I liked the ideas and no, not for me. But, you know, she into intertextuality. Not that I'd picked it out because of that. There's plenty of that in there, but it's so obvious and so like I'm gonna hit you over the head with a hammer that it was just sort of obnoxious in its pretentiousness while at the same time not actually saying all that much. Does that make sense? Or like more sort of like, I feel the author would have done better writing an essay. Not necessarily that I would have been a good one, but I think an essay would have been better for these topics. Or, you know, whatever, some sort of non-fiction. A personal essay or one that mixes personal and literary criticism, whatever. Anything like that. The novel? Nah. Okay. Wow. Am I being awful? I hope I'm not. I don't know. No, I get to say that I didn't like a book, right? Okay. So, the last one I finished for Shorty September, I think. No, wait, there was one more. Anyway, so this is one that I've had for a while. Bob the Booker gave this to me. Thank you very much. Isabel Waidner, We Are Made of Diamond Stuff. This was fun. I think I chose this for Runway fashion shorts. And I think I doubled it up as beach read. I don't know what beach read was. Does it matter? No. Probably bikini shorts or something. No. Lifeguard shorts, I think. Anyway, this is quite crazy. I mean, crazy as in you don't know what's happening for a lot of the time. Like, I mean, it's not like it's hard to follow. It's more like, wow, what did you just come up with again now? So even though it reads rather quickly, but at the same time, probably not as quick as you think when you look at this, because it is so sort of, unconventional, that sometimes it just takes you a while to sort of get settled in the story world, and then also in the sort of associative way that the prose is written. But if you do, then it's rather good. It was funny, and it was touching on a lot of subjects that are sort of dear to me, or that I'm interested in. It's about two outsiders who are sort of working minimum wage, and the sort of exploitation of that status, Brexit, how people, how people's status and livelihood within Britain is threatened by Brexit and by, other sort of structures, exploitative structures. It's about queerness and coming to terms, or not coming to terms, but struggling with the idea that there are, queer UKIP supporters. There's also a leopard, in this case a lipard, which is a literary leopard apparently, who is, I guess, a metaphor come to life, and is, I don't know, haunting an old hotel. So I don't know what else to tell you apart from this is kind of fun. And there's a lot of intertextual references again. And that was also quite fun. Yeah, they're not pretentious about it. They actually have a little list at the end of things that have been referenced. That is both literature, but also sometimes art, or random. Wait, was it? Oh yeah, there was also newspaper articles and or reviews. Anyway, I feel like I'm not doing a very good job at talking about this, probably because it is so wild. But it was good fun. I'm glad I read it. I think I do want to read the other one by Isabel Waidner. What's that called? Sterling Karat Gold. And 4 stars. There we go. And the last one I read for Shorty September was an ebook. No, was it an ebook? Oh no, it was an audiobook, sorry. And it was The Shame by Makenna, don't let me lie, Makenna Goodman, I think. I'm going to put in the image here so you'll know whether it's Makenna Goodman or some other last name. Makenna, I think. Interesting. Definitely not the best read I've had in this September. I don't know, is it lower than Travesty or higher? Well, I think I also gave it 3 stars, as I did for Travesty, but for very different reasons, I guess. So on the face of it, this is super interesting to me because it's about a young mother who is, reflecting. So she's a young mother who is living, she's like a homesteader with her husband. She has sacrificed her own career and aspirations as an artist and writer to being a full-time mother and, you know, caring for the children and also looking after this homestead, and, you know, to enable her husband to pursue his career, who is, I think, some sort of university person, like lecturer or something. Anyway, so he's just been given tenure, and she feels very insecure about the fact that she has only been a mum. Yeah, so she reflects on feeling trapped in this, on the surface, you know, very privileged life, and on sort of, you know, yeah, like the aspirations she's had as a writer, blah, blah, blah. She thinks about the ideals she has and how she chooses to implement or live according to those ideals, and how sometimes, which, you know, every so often there's very interesting, very good and rather honest observations about, you know, this particular type of privileged white woman, or also man, I don't know, who sort of, what was it, decides to live according to those ideals in the easiest, in the most convenient way possible, you know, by like, I don't know, buying secondhand instead of new stuff, when you're still sort of, you know, you're still very much taking part in consumerism. And anyway, that was interesting. Some of the thoughts I thought were quite sort of nicely put, and sort of, you know, quite an honest look at oneself and at the things that one doesn't like to admit about oneself. But ultimately, I didn't get on with it, and it's not because, yeah, so one reason is that I didn't really like the narrator, and I don't mind unlikable narrators, but I found her quite can I say unbearable again? I feel like I've since said this a few times today. But yeah, I found it quite unbearable, but not in an interesting way, if that makes sense. And then the thing that is supposed to be interesting in this story is that she then develops this obsession with a person who is some social media influencer, you know, who's also a mother, you know, of the same age, a similar age, and she begins to be so obsessed that she's constantly looking at this life and imagining herself within that life, and la la la. And at some point, it turns to sort of being slightly, you know, stalkerish and ridiculous. And I found the whole thing ridiculous, really. So I found the premise ridiculous, that she would actually develop this obsession. And I'm not saying that this has never happened or whatever. It just didn't strike me as realistic with that character, for somebody who's that reflected. And then on top of that, we then get to the point where she ends up sort of kind of meeting, she doesn't actually meet this person that she's obsessed with, but she gets to see them in real life. And then she makes these really obvious observations of how, oh, actually, this person isn't exactly how she portrays herself on Instagram. I'm like, yeah, really? I mean, talk about Captain Obvious. Like, that is just, yeah. So basically, wow, I am in a ranty mood today. Basically, I think it was trying to be deeper than it actually was. It was like, there was the odd good remark, and then everything else I was like, really, are we wasting time and pages on this, even though you're a short book? This seems like, yeah, surface level. Like, I don't know, talk to any 18-year-old, they know that Instagram, theoretically, that's just a curated life. I mean, not saying that they'll also manage to draw the consequences, but I don't know what this what the point of this was, apart from, you know, reflecting about motherhood from a rather privileged position, while still, you know, having given into patriarchal structures that one probably didn't want to give into previously. There we go. That was a lot of talk, sorry. Okay, so that is, I think, everything I read for Shorty September. And then what I also read, which was probably the highlight of this month, is Wolfgang Hilbig's Ich, which is I, which has only recently come out in English translation, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I don't actually know. Anyway, this is a novel from the 90s by Wolfgang Hilbig, who is an author from the GDR. So he was born in the GDR, and then at some point moved to West Germany before the fall of the Berlin Wall. I think it may have been 5 years before. I think it was 84. Anyway, I loved this. This was a very, very dense read. It was disorienting, deliberately so. So it took quite a while, and I think that's also why I didn't read as many shorties. But it was fantastic. So the narrator of this book is, well, somebody who would like to be an author. Well, he does write, and he is, you know, living with his mother in some small town in the GDR. He is working as, I don't know what you call that. What do you call that? I don't know. Somebody who heats up the ovens, like shovels coal in there. I can't remember. Anyway, so yeah, basically like physical labor, whatever. And then, well, he tries to write all the time. However, he somehow gets sucked into, because he's writing, he is sort of part of these social circles that bring him into contact with a few people that the Stasi, the state security, you know, is interested in. And they then make, under very not ridiculously wrong pretenses, you know, get into contact with him and pressure him over and over and over again, by sort of making false accusations and, you know, linking all these things where he basically has no real recourse. They force him to sign a document in which he, you know, assumes the fatherhood of a child that he's never, by a woman he's never slept with. And then over the course of this, they then basically spin this web around him to make him become an informant. An IM, is that also what you call it in English? I think I heard Mark say IM as well. Right, so that's how this whole thing starts. I've just realized I'm running out of space on this form. Do you know what? I'm gonna just tell you to go and watch Mark's video on this, because I think he does a better job at this anyway. But largely speaking, this is about the question of identity, because the narrator kind of loses a sense of his own self, because he then gets so sort of wrapped up in this whole, you know, spying business and writing these reports on people, that he, and also the, you know, the fact that he's been sort of pushed into this role on false pretense, under false pretenses, really, that he then ends up sort of wondering, you know, how much of me is me, and you know, and is this a different I now, a different self from what there was before? Sorry, a lot of commotion here. I think somebody is coming home and that's what the cats are noticing. Yes, exactly. I'm just filming a video. Nearly finished though. Yes, and that sort of sense of alienation is represented by names changing. So the guy is sort of referenced by different letters. There's a change in person, as either it's first person or third person, and then he kind of weaves back and forth between chronologically very different events, but without properly demarcating those changes. But that also kind of feeds into that. It sort of mirrors the experience of the narrator, who also feels like he's losing his grasp on time and events in time due to the way that these things are handled within the state security. And I don't think I have touched on everything here yet, but like I said, running out of space. And I think Mark just does a fantastic job at talking about this, so I will link his video and you should watch that if you're interested. But yeah, this is my first Wolfgang Hilbig. I'm appalled that I've never heard of him until I met Mark, because why the hell do I not know of this author? I'm German. This is clearly somebody, you know, he's well known as in like a sort of contemporary, or is that what you say, contemporary? I mean, he's already died, but yeah, contemporary author of whatever, you know, late 20th century. And I'm surprised that I've never heard of him before. So I definitely want to read more by him. Other than that, I feel like I've just missed out what the 8th was. I can't remember now. But there's only one that I started for Shorty September that I couldn't finish, which is Never Did the Fire by, Diamela Eltit, translated by Daniel Hahn, another fantastic Charcoal Press release. The reason I haven't finished it has nothing to do with the quality of the book, but that it is rather dense. And it takes me quite a long time to read, like, you know, a short chapter of 10 pages. But looking forward to continuing with this. That is it. How was your September reading? Let me know. Also, yeah, did you read any good shorties? That would be really lovely to hear about. So, yeah, I'm all for short books nowadays. Okay, have a good day, night, weekend, whatever. Bye-bye.